Our guest today on Caribbeana is Mr. Kurt Allen. Kurt is a Calypsonian in Trinidad and Tobago. And with Carnival in preparation now, things are sort of waxing hot. I don't know if you can call it that at the moment. But Kurt, welcome to our program, man.
It's always a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to see you after all these years.
Yeah, 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 man. Yes, yes. Well, we're still here in the culture, promoting it,
Yes, I see
Uh,
that strongly.
Yeah, you've had a rich career in Calypso as a Calypsonian. You want to share with our audience a little bit about how you started, what you got into, and so on?
Okay, well, typically that's the story you would hear from most people, especially coming from a Caribbean background. I started in the church. I was a student of the Marcus Seventh Days Adventist School and also the church. And for the first 18 years of my life, because I lived in this the environment with grandparents and everything, so
Yeah,
the first 18 years
yeah,
dedicated to doing as you're told. So there was, but there was always an interest with Calypso. So at the age of 11, I entered the junior Calypso competition. So
Ah,
I started, from the nursery level, juniors. I was successful in making the finals on two occasions. I also composed as a 16-year-old. I composed for the winner of the 1988 National Junior
right,
Calypso competition, Mr. Roger George.
right,
A
right.
number of others, including Melanie Hudson, Charlotte, Sean Bailey, the son of the mighty
Yeah,
Shot,
yeah,
many other young people. So, I got involved in composing and in that way.
yeah.
Um, I joined the Calypso tent scenario in 1988 under the
Right,
wings of the all-rounder at the
right,
New Calypso tent.
right, right.
That's where I met, some of my good friends today in Calypso, who I consider the foundation friends, people like Manchild,
Yes,
Tigris, Hamidullah,
yes, yes,
El
yes,
Drago,
yes,
those are some of the guys who really took me under their wings as a youngster,
yes.
trying to
Right.
negotiate myself any
Yeah.
business. So I worked my way there. I dabbled with the NJAC
Right,
competitions, the Young Kings
right.
in particular. I won the Junior Young Kings in 1992. And then
Yeah,
in 1993, I won the Young Kings competition. But
yeah.
it's upon my entry into the semi-finals of the National Calypso Mona competition in
Ah,
1992. I would say that's when my break really came.
right, right,
The official break in terms of the Calypso tent environment. The
right,
Lord Kitchener, as soon as I came off the stage at Skinner Park, heading into the dressing room area, the Lord Kitchener met me and stopped me and said, young fella, you're singing with me next year. And he put me on the shoulder. And I
yeah,
stood up next to him all night until he dropped me home, but not directly home in Curab Junction at the time to get a
right,
taxi. I
yeah.
stayed with him for the entire period. And then I joined the review tent in 1993.
Yeah,
My career moved on from then. Prior to that, however, I had a stint with the Roy Cape Kaiso All Stars from 1989 to
right,
1993, where we toured Europe. I toured under the Black Stallion was the main act at the time,
right.
and the on the cast would be people like Baron, Bali,
Yeah,
Explainer, So and I was like a background vocalist, and then we would
right,
get our to do our thing. So
right.
under Sunday Blacks was the person who was in charge of that tour, a
Yeah,
European tour.
yeah,
Then from there, we went into Toronto, North America, and that's where my touring and band life started.
right,
I joined Atlantic again, which is a super soca band in
right,
1990. So, so my soca life was more or less in balance with Calypso
right,
during that period. Uh,
right.
I made the Calypso Monarch finals from 1994 to 1997 when I took a break again. And
Hmm.
I, once again, went straight back to Roy Cape. Not this time, not Roy Cape Kaiso All Stars, but Roy Cape All Stars. They
All
had dropped the
stars,
Kaiso.
right,
They were now in the FET, cemented in the FET. They were no longer playing as a support band to the Spectacular Forum tent.
right.
Unfortunately for us, we had a nice stint. I won the Soca Mona competition under Mr. Cape, and we won road match titles in several North American countries, Notting Hill,
Yeah,
the Caribbean, and that
yeah,
was the start of showing the versatility in both calypso and soca.
right, right,
Took a break from the entire music industry in terms of performances for
right,
9 years. And
right.
I worked within the Caribbean with an organization, an NGO called Caribbean Vision. So
Yes.
that sums up a lot of my time there.
Yeah, man. It's very touching areas, and people I knew and I met. Kitchener was
Yes,
a very nice man. And it's
very.
so ironic. In my archives, I have interviews with all of these people.
Wow, wow.
So it's nice. So, and I'm happy to hear and see that you're still doing. As a matter of fact, your daughter had a stint at a time. Is she still in it?
Yes, she's still very much active in it. She's now a high school teacher in the United States. I was
Ah,
there, visited her for a couple months. I just came back about 2 weeks ago from visiting her. And
right.
it's doing well. She has her own music band, and she's
Wow.
doing her stuff.
Right,
Just
right,
on
right,
the same path.
right. No, do you see the form has changed, much compared to, let's say, 20 years ago? With the soca influence. Do you see the form has changed much?
Yes, we're seeing a change, and that change happens with every generation. I mean, you would testify that when we came on the scene as a youngster, the form had changed somewhat.
Right,
But the blend that we would have brought in my generation, such as Marshall Montano, and that
right.
we brought a change, a different flavor. And now we're seeing that same thing happening. But what's going to happen is that every generation will be influenced by something else, mainly popular culture. Whatever is the popular culture of that time,
Yeah,
that generation will be influenced by it, and the output will be something different in whatever expressions, whether it's calypso, soca, hip hop. They are going to bring their flavor to it, and what we're seeing now is their time and their flavor.
their flavor. Right.
Whether some people like the flavor or not, that's always debatable, but that's their
Right,
flavor.
right. Well, that's the form, it's a form as an oral tradition. It changes as life goes on.
Yes, yes.
Where do you see the art form going? Do you see it being promoted more by, let's say, government or private sector or anything like that?
Well, when one understands the history of this art form, they will understand that government is never going to promote it, and we should never look towards government because government represents the authority. Once you understand the history of Calypso, you're going to understand the authority is never going to enable you to be any power force that could threaten their authority.
Yeah,
So we need to get that part of it out of our systems, which just seems like we ain't getting that out at all. Everything is the government. When you look at the golden days or the blossoming days of the music, of calypso music. Well,
yeah,
I will speak from my era, right? Where the Shadow, Baron, Explain, all these guys.
yeah,
There was not a TUCO or a governing body that got sponsorship from the government per se. And
right,
those years, the music was on top of the world. Now
right,
we see
right.
government subventions and government funding. We see the dwindling
Yeah,
in the output from the Calypsonians to start with. Of course, there are other considerations like lack of airplay and lack of respect and support. That those things will always come up, but there
right.
are other considerations that must be taken before we criticize a particular process.
Right. Yes. And you're so right, the advancement of it is necessary. And as we see it transferring itself to outside of Trinidad and Tobago, the other islands, the other regions, do you see it getting the kind of promotion that it could get or should get?
I will kind of kind of sway a little bit, change the direction in terms of the question. I think that it has always been part of the other islands. It's just that Trinidad and Tobago is like the center point of it, or the mecca, the focal point. But I
Right,
think that energy, that expression, that vibration, based on a shared common history, I
right.
think that has always been present everywhere.
Yeah,
The Trinidad brand of it. Maybe they look at Trinidad and look at what we are doing
right.
to to copy. So when I say copy, not to like a copycat, but to
Right.
advance their own.
Imitate, yeah.
Yeah, they will have their own flavor. As I said, like
Yeah.
if a particular franchise like KFC comes into Trinidad, they didn't come with the same brand that you're buying in Washington. They have something called spicy because they understand the flavor in
Right.
Trinidad or the Caribbean is a bit different. We need a little
Right.
spice.
Yeah,
So every island has their own spice. So
right.
in Dominica, you have the bouillon. In Barbados, you may have spooge. In
Right.
Jamaica, you have mentor. But when you look at the DNA of the
Yeah,
rhythmic patterns and the conversations, you'll
yeah,
realize it has always been one. But
right, right,
but you tend to separate, and of course, Trinidad being the center focal point
right.
becomes the point of attention.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things I find interesting that is not sufficient is written about the art form. I don't know of any other, well, besides my good friend Chalkless, but I don't know of any other books that's being written or so on the art form, on Calypso or so, you know.
Well,
Do you agree or do you see a need for that more?
there's a need for it, and I must say that I am in the process of, but the book is already completed in terms of my input in it. But
Yeah,
it has to be vetted and edited and go through that
right.
particular process. But I am able to say that yes, I will be making my contribution towards that whole debate and that entire thing about the calypso and where it came from and what is calypso, the questions, because we still have burning questions where young people ask you, what is Calypso? And if they ask 10 different Calypsonians, they get 10 different answers.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you ask somebody, what is a Coca-Cola? You get 10 answers will be
yeah.
similar.
Yeah,
Right. But when you ask about Calypso, you get all these different answers so that, I want to join that debate and
right, right, right.
some of the stuff the information that I have.
Yeah.
I don't like to say research because research will mean that I am returning to a search that was already done.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not researching. I am searching. I'm looking at new areas and a new conversation, a new
Yeah,
narrative
yeah,
that may
yeah.
have been overlooked by some of our seniors before.
Right, right, right. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, when I started doing this kind of work, I went to J.D. Elder, and it is he who defined the calypso for me. And he categorized it in a way that he said men sang war songs and women sang songs of praise. And the men who sang the war songs, they sang it because of the calendar and the stick fight and so
Yes,
forth, and it led me into a fascinating journey into
yes,
identifying the antecedents of Calypso.
yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
man, I applaud you for what you're doing, man.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate
and,
it.
and I certainly hope that when I get a chance to get a copy of the book and so on when it does come out.
Yes,
Um,
definitely, most
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I have done one on the pan called Voices
Okay,
of Pan Pioneers
equally
of
important.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Equally important. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yeah, man.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anything you'd like to leave us with? I mean, this carnival, are you entering the competition or anything like that?
Yes, I'm entering the competition with a type of song that seems to be a dinosauric, or if there's a word such as dinosauric, where the people have not heard a political commentary for probably 10 years, and I've decided to jump into that debate where
Yeah,
it's probably the first political or the only political commentary I'm hearing in Trinidad and Tobago at the moment.
right. Yeah, yeah,
So that I am heading in that direction. I am representing the voice of the people and amplifying their concerns. I have, on a personal note, I have no horse in any political race. I am very apolitical.
right.
Everybody knows I've never even participated in any sort of
In the
political
party,
activity
yeah, right.
because I believe my role is to represent the voice of the people.
Yeah,
Now, some people may tend to believe that it's an attack. When they hear certain lyrics, you're attacking something. I'm not attacking anything. For example, you would have known the sentiment in song, in Calypso.
yes,
Chambers Duncy.
right, right,
It was a big thing in the country. Everybody singing Chambers Duncy.
yeah.
And the Calypsonian was chastised, but it was Chambers really Duncy. Nobody could point and say, well, yes, Chambers was Duncy for a fact.
Right, right.
But people were saying it. So there
Yes,
are certain things that people are saying that I'm repeating in the song. But I
yeah,
can't say for sure if they are factual.
right,
Like when people said Manning was an emperor, when I checked factually, Manning is not, he was not an emperor, but people
right,
said it.
right, right,
So
right.
what I am saying, it doesn't have to be factual, but it's based on what people
People
are
say,
saying.
right. Yeah, yes, yes, man. I like that. Yes, yes. But listen, Kurt, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope I can
Yeah.
get a chance to talk to you later on another time when we
Anytime,
can
anytime.
explore, more into the art form.
I look
So,
forward to it.
all right, man. So good luck
Right.
and take care and be positive. All right.
Thank you. You take care. All the
All
best.
right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I've been speaking with Kurt Allen. Kurt is a Calypsonian, a singer from Trinidad and Tobago, and he prepares for this year's carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. This is Von Martin. Caribbeana continues.